During this video, we'll take a look at the DTM Analysis Profile tool. And our training guide will be starting on page 1-34 and continuing to the top of page 1-36. The files that we'll use will be the same design file that we were in when we did the height tool, located in our Data Geo Site DTM Analysis folder. We have a base.dgn file and a surface or TIN file. I'll go ahead and get into PowerCivil and open up my DGN file. The Analysis Profile tool is used to check our surface and profile at any location. Here I have the Analysis tool palette pulled out. I can access that from the lower left. The second icon is the Profile tool. Let's step through and set up the dialog. The dialog has three tabs. The first tab is the Selection tab. This is where I create a list of surfaces that I want to profile. In my case, I only have the one surface, but I could have as many surfaces as I desire. I'm going to, along the bottom of the dialog, select the TIN file that I would like. That's our site.tin file located in our folder. I'm going to highlight it, click OK. I can set up the symbology of how I want the graphic to appear when I cut a profile, so the profile line itself. So I'm going to double click on the sample and set up a level, a color, a style, and a weight. Once I've set up the symbology, I've got some icons along the right hand side of the list, and I can add this particular setting to the list. So I'm going to cut a profile from the TIN. When it draws the profile, it'll draw a green line with a weight of 1, style of 3 on level default. Once I have that, I can switch to the Profile tab, and this is where we'll actually draw the profile. There's several options I can use here. I can select a graphic that exists in the CAD file to cut a profile along, or I can place a new element to cut a profile along. So I click Place Element, and I data point, and it extracts the profile. I can continue to data point, and it'll continue to extract a profile from point to point. I reset or right click, and that stops the profile being extracted. I click Place again, and I can extract it from another location. So you can go to any location you want and check the surface. Once you have the profile that you desire, maybe you want to see a grid or elevation information along the grid. That's handled with the last tab or the Preferences tab. I click on Preferences. I have options here to set a scale, to exaggerate it more or less. I can set the grid elevations and the grid stationing. I can turn on a grid by simply checking the major interval, minor interval, or maybe a vertical grid. I can set the symbology of the grid, the symbology of the elevation and station labels along the grid. Whatever changes I make in this particular tab of the dialog, the minute I make them and I switch back to the Profile tab, that information is shown. So for example, I'll go back to the Preferences and I'll change the text height. Make it somewhat larger, less decimal places. I'm actually going to copy and paste this over to the major text there. So I'm going to copy, right click, copy, right click, paste. So you can do copy and paste situations to help fill it out a little faster. Go back to the profile and you'll see the text has changed. If I change the scale, go back to the profile and the scale's changed. So again, any change that you want to make will be immediately reflected in the Profile tab. Next, I want to optionally, maybe I want to place the profile. That means place it into the CAD file. So I click Place Profile, move my cursor down into the file somewhere, and click Place. And you can see that we placed the graphic into the file. And then if I want to remove it, I just select it and delete it using the Delete tool. So the Profile tool can be used to check any surface or surfaces and see exactly what the surface looks like in a profile view.